Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about conducting scientific research as a student, and I'm going to talk about the preliminary pages that your research report must contain. And my presentation will have the following outline. First, I'm going to talk about what are the preliminary pages. Then, I'm also going to talk about what role do the preliminary pages play in the report. Then I'm also going to talk about the abstracts. Then I'm going to summarize the presentation and bring the presentation to an end. So let's get started. The preliminary pages are actually the pages in your main research report, which actually come before your first chapter. So basically they come before the chapter 1 or the first chapter, of your project report. And these pages actually include the following components, like there will be a title page in there will be a certification or declaration page in there will be an acknowledgement page in there, a dedication page will have to be there, an abstract page would have to be there, you have a table of contents, list of figures, and then you would also have a list of tables. So for these particular items, for instance, if you take the title page, that one actually contains the title of your project and then some other information depending on the kind of institution that you are in or depending on the kind of school you attended. The certification page, for instance, is going to have your name and your supervisors there, and you would have to sign against your name. And there has to also be a declaration over there that actually indicates that you did the research on your own and that it's not a copy work, or you didn't go to copy someone else's work. And whatever information in there which actually you took from somewhere, or which actually inspired your thinking in writing the report, you have duly referenced all this information. So this kind of declaration would have to be there, and you sign against your name. Your supervisors will be there, they will also sign. Typically the head of department of the academic department you are in the typical university you are in, he or she will also sign at their part. Then for the acknowledgement page, this particular page would have information related to people who actually assisted you or helped you in various ways in actually doing the research. So you acknowledge them, and whatever it is you want to write about them, you can also actually do so on this particular page. Then there will be a dedication page where you would actually list which particular persons or institution you've dedicated your research report to. Then there will be an abstract. At the abstract or under the abstract, you would actually summarize the main information within your research, what your research is actually about, what kind of results you achieved. You summarize that information in there. It will typically take about 1 page. And then there will be a table of content that will give a bird's eye view of the various components or the various sections within your report. Then there will be a list of figures, which will be a list of all the various figures in your report. Then there will be a list of tables, which will also be a list of all the tables that actually feature in your report. And usually the above components, or all the components that have been described, are usually written and organized or arranged in the order that in which they have been presented in the report. So they typically follow, and most universities actually require these preliminary pages to be there inside a report. It's something common that runs across various universities. Even if there's going to be a variation, the variation will not be that much, or it wouldn't deviate too much from what has been listed over here. And just as I said, every university actually requires these, and even if there will be variations, it wouldn't be too much. And as a research student, you have a responsibility to know what to write under each section of the preliminary pages, and the easiest way to go about this is to actually get any of the previous reports that have been written by any of the past students and see how they actually wrote the preliminary pages, and that can actually help give you ideas as to how you are also supposed to go about your own. Usually the preliminary pages that have been described actually helps to give whoever is reading the report a broad overview of the research work. And the main information inside these preliminary pages can actually be broken down into three. First you have who did the work, and then who supported the work, and then what information does the report contain. So typically, this will be the overview of what is in the preliminary pages. So who did the work, for instance, in the certification page, your name, you the student and your supervisors and all that, your names will be there. You are the ones who did the work. Who supported the work, your supervisors are there in the certification page. And then also in the acknowledgement, if there's any other person outside the institution or whatever it is, or even within the institution who supported the work, you can name them there, and then the details will be there. And then what information the report contains. So this would actually be spread across your table of content, your abstract, list of figures, list of tables. All these will give the reader, or whoever is looking at the preliminary pages of the report, some idea as to what information the actual report contains, without having to go into details to read the report. So the information within the preliminary pages should be able to give an overview such that any reader who actually goes through or glances through these preliminary pages would have to understand what is in the project report without actually going into details to read what is inside the report. And in the preliminary pages, as a student, you have an opportunity to capture the attention of any prospective reader. You need to make it interesting, make it convincing, such that anyone who takes these pages and read or glances through them will be interested in going into the main report to find out the details of the information in there, because it is a report, it is written such that people will read. So you need to write it in such a way that people will be more interested in actually reading the details. Now, the abstract is one of the most important components of your project report in general. Very, very important. Every project report or every research report, regardless of the university, would have the abstract. Other institutions, instead of calling the abstract, may call it the executive summary. It's still the same thing. And usually what happens is that your abstract is supposed to be a maximum of 1 page, and it's supposed to be just 1 paragraph. And this paragraph is supposed to give the grand summary or the total summary of what your research is about, basically. So all the information, what your research is about, the current results you achieve, and everything must be put together, into the abstract, so that anyone who takes your abstract and reads it actually has a bird's eye view as to what your research is about and information inside. And the abstract is usually written and compacted or compressed according to a certain structure, and in this 1 paragraph abstract, there are 4 main components of information inside this particular abstract. So what happens is that the first part of the abstract must focus on the main aim or the main objective of your research. There you need to describe what your research is actually about, the main objective of the particular research. And then the second part of the abstract would have to describe or give a brief description of the procedure or the method that we used in actually doing or conducting the research. The third part of the abstract would also give a brief information as to what the main results were or what the main results of the research are. We call it principal results. So if you put all your results together, what story does the result tell, or what is the grand result in there? You report this in the third part of your abstract. And then the last aspect of the abstract, you would have to describe the implications of your results. What is the meaning of the result, and what importance is of the results, to the global scientific community? What would be the importance of the results, or what is the meaning, of the result, or what can we extract from the results, for the global community? So basically, these are the main things which will typically be in any particular abstract, and all this information is compressed, and put into 1 paragraph on 1 page, under the abstract. So in summary, the preliminary pages are the pages which usually come before the first chapter of the project reports. And these pages are made up of various components, and these components include the title page, you have the certification or declaration, you have the acknowledgement, the dedication, the abstract, the table of contents, the list of figures, and the list of tables. So all these come together. They are written on various pages, but they come together to form the preliminary pages, and all these must be presented before the first chapter. And these pages together actually help to give the reader understanding of who did the work, who supported the research, and what main information the research actually contains. All this must be able to be captured. You must be able to capture all these within the preliminary pages. And from the preliminary pages, anyone who picks up the project report to read should be able to understand basically, what information the report actually contains without necessarily having to go into the details of reading each page of the report. So once the reader is able to glance through these preliminary pages, he should have a fair idea, as to what main information the report actually contains. And once the preliminary pages are written well, they should be able to capture the attention of the reader. So you as a student, you have a responsibility of writing the preliminary pages, organizing them very well, such that they can be convincing and enticing, for the reader, so that it can actually convince or motivate the reader to actually go further to read the details of the report. So you want to avoid things like minor grammatical mistakes, complex statements, big English. You want to make things as simple as possible. You need to go straight to the point, and you need to minimize or avoid grammatical errors entirely, so that it will be more fun, to actually read, and anyone who picks it and reads it will be interested in going further. So at this point, I would like to thank you for making the time to watch my presentation. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.